Welcome to the wildlife of southwestern Arizona. We begin our adventure observing a great horned owl adult and owlet. They are in a nest situated within the arms and safety of a saguaro cactus. As is evident here, the broad range of habitats used by this large owl species includes the desert. By making its nest more than 10 feet off the ground in the safety of the arms of the saguaro cactus, the great horned owl has protected its chick from would-be predators such as bobcats. The primary diet of the great horned owl includes rabbits and hares, rats and mice, and voles, all of which occur in the Arizona desert. The barn swallow observed here has also used the desert environment, in this case overlying rocks, to build its nest. The underside of a rock becomes the ceiling of this nest, and thus provides very safe habitat for the rearing of chicks. Ringtails are mammals that are related to raccoons. Many people also call them ring-tailed cats, ringtail cats, basilisks, and miner's cats. While they are not genetically related to cats, they do appear a bit similar to felines. Instead, ringtails are in the Procyonidae family, along with raccoons, kinkajous, coatis, and olingos. While ringtails occur in a variety of habitats, most of these tend to be arid. Ringtail populations are found in southern Oregon, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and parts of Kansas and Texas, as well as, of course, Arizona. Ringtails are omnivores, but most of their diet consists of animals rather than plants. Their primary prey includes mice, rats, rabbits, ground squirrels, insects, and other small mammals. With regard to reproduction, it is notable that females are only receptive to mates in the spring. After mating, the male brings the female food during her 45 to 50-day gestation period. The female usually gives birth to 2 to 4 offspring, called cubs. The common poorwill is famously known as a hibernating bird. Indeed, in cool weather, it may enter a torpid state with lowered body temperature, heartbeat, and rate of breathing for days or even weeks at a time. Science discovered this in the 1940s, but apparently the Hopi knew it long before that. Their name for the poorwill means the sleeping one. On a section of Canyon Lake, we found a concentration of small fishes near the surface of the water. These fish gave us encouragement for the survival of the fishes in this lake, as there had been a recent die-off of many fishes as a result of a green algae bloom. This female bobcat was taking full advantage of the recent fish die-off. Here we see it walking along the shore, looking for dead fishes. The North American bobcat, Lynx rufus, found throughout the United States, is probably named for its short tail, which is about 15.3 to 17.8 centimeters or 6 to 7 inches long. Its natural range extends from Canada to northern Mexico and expands in the more northern latitudes. The bobcat has long legs and large paws, and it can weigh up to 30 pounds or 13.6 kilograms. As can be seen here, the reclusive bobcat is active largely at night, although they frequently leave cover and begin hunting long before sundown. In hilly country, their presence can often be detected by their habit of dropping their feces on large rocks or promontories or ridges. Also, like the mountain lion, the males make scrapes, small piles of leaves, sticks, and so forth, on which they urinate along their traveling routes. Notably, however, these bobcat scrapes are smaller. Bobcats den in crevices in canyon walls, in boulder piles, or in thickets. The dens can be readily recognized by the strong odor emanating from them. Expert at climbing trees, bobcats seek refuge in them when available. The bobcat diet consists mainly of small mammals and birds. Among the mammals, wood rats, ground squirrels, mice, and rabbits supply the bulk of the diet. Although deer occasionally are killed and eaten, most of the deer meat found in bobcat stomachs has been carrion. They also prey upon domestic sheep, goats, and poultry, but the damage done is rarely great. The breeding season for bobcats begins usually in February, and after a gestation period of about 60 days, the 2 to 7 young are born. Average litter size is 3. The young are well furred and spotted at birth. Their eyes open in about 9 days. The kittens are weaned when about 2 months old. They remain with their mother until early fall, at which time they begin to fend for themselves. Bobcats live in a variety of habitats, but they favor rocky canyons or outcrops when they are available. Otherwise, they choose thickets for protection and den sites. Bobcats are highly adaptable and in most places have been able to thrive in spite of increasing habitat loss due to human settlement. The desert bighorn sheep, Ovis canadensis nelsoni, is a subspecies of bighorn sheep that is native to the deserts of the United States Intermountain West and Southwest regions, as well as northwestern Mexico. The Bureau of Land Management considers this subspecies sensitive to extinction. Populations of the desert bighorn sheep declined drastically with European colonization of the American Southwest beginning in the 16th century. These declines were followed by a period of population stabilization ascribed to conservation measures. As of 2004, desert bighorn sheep numbers remain extremely low, although the overall population trend has increased since 1960. The desert bighorn has become well adapted to living in the desert heat and cold, and, unlike most mammals, their body temperature can safely fluctuate several degrees. During the heat of the day, they will often rest in the shade of trees and caves. Southern desert bighorn sheep are adapted to a desert mountain environment with little or no permanent water. Some may go without visiting water for weeks or months, sustaining their body moisture from food and from rainwater collected in temporary rock pools. The raccoon, sometimes called the common raccoon to distinguish it from other species, such as the coati and the ringtail, is a mammal native to North America. It is the largest of the procyon family, having a body length of 40 to 70 centimeters, or 16 to 28 inches, and a body weight of 5 to 26 kilograms, or 11 to 57 pounds. Its grayish coat mostly consists of dense underfur, which insulates it against cold weather. Three of the raccoon's most distinctive features are its extremely dexterous front paws, its facial mask, and its ringed tail, which are themes in the mythologies of indigenous people of the Americas relating to the animal. The raccoon is noted for its intelligence, as studies show that it is able to remember the solution to tasks for at least 3 years. It is usually nocturnal and omnivorous, eating about 40% invertebrates, 33% plants, and 27% vertebrates. The common habitats of the raccoon are deciduous and mixed forests, but due to their adaptability, they have extended their range to mountainous areas, coastal marshes, and urban areas, where some homeowners consider them to be pests. As a result of escapes and deliberate introductions in the mid-20th century, raccoons are now also distributed across much of mainland Europe, the Caucasus, and Japan. Raccoons usually mate in a period triggered by increasing daylight between late January and mid-March. However, there are large regional differences which are not completely explicable by solar conditions. After usually 63 to 65 days of gestation, a litter of typically 2 to 5 young is born. The average litter size varies widely with habitat, ranging from 2.5 in Alabama to 4.8 in North Dakota. Larger litters are more common in areas with a high mortality rate, due, for example, to hunting or severe winters. When kits are born, they weigh about 2.1 to 2.6 ounces. Once the kits weigh about 2 pounds, they begin to explore outside the den, consuming solid food for the first time after 6 to 9 weeks. After this point, their mother suckles them with decreasing frequency. They are usually weaned at 16 weeks. A number of bats of unidentified species were observed eating insects over the water surface. Briefly seen here is the gray fox, the only canid whose natural range spans both North and South America. The gray fox is specially adapted to climb trees. Its strong, hooked claws allow it to scramble up trees to escape many predators, such as the domestic dog or the coyote. The gray fox also climbs trees to reach tree-bound or arboreal food sources. Notably, gray foxes often hunt for the same prey species as bobcats and coyotes who occupy the same region. To avoid interspecific competition, the gray fox has developed certain avoidance behaviors and habits to increase their survival chances. And once again, we encounter the ringtail. And now we enter Saguaro National Park. The giant saguaro is the universal symbol of the American West. These majestic plants, found only in a small portion of the United States, are protected by Saguaro National Park, to the east and west of the modern city of Tucson. Here one has a chance to see these enormous cacti, silhouetted by the beauty of the magnificent desert sunset. The saguaro is a tree-like cactus species in the monotypic genus Carnegie. It can grow to over 12 meters or 40 feet tall. The saguaro cactus is native to the Sonoran Desert in Arizona, the Mexican state of Sonora, and the Whipple Mountains and Imperial County areas of California. Phaerocactus whistlerinii, the fishhook barrel cactus, is a solitary barrel-shaped to columnar cactus with 13 to 25 prominent ribs adorned with areoles sprouting straight and hooked spines. It is common in Saguaro National Park. The Gila Monster is one of only 2 venomous lizards in the world. They produce venom in glands of the lower jaw and channel it along grooves in the teeth for secretion. Once a Gila monster bites, it generally holds on tight, chewing more and more venom into the bite. The venom is believed to be a defensive weapon, as most of the lizard's prey is defenseless. Gila monsters are most active during daylight from spring through fall, but they spend up to 98% of their time in burrows. When they are above ground, they tend to move rather slowly and will first try to escape if a predator comes near. They will also hiss and open their mouths very wide. This behavior is called gaping, and thus showing off their pointy teeth. They bite only as a last resort. The bite is said to be extremely painful to humans, but rarely fatal. The effects of the bite are said to feel as though molten lava is flowing through one's veins. The Gila monster diet consists of small and young mammals, baby rabbits for example, nestling birds and eggs, reptile eggs, and carrion. Gila monsters store fat both in their tails and other parts of their bodies. Their low metabolic rates and ability to eat large meals combined with their capacity to store fat make frequent searching for food unnecessary. Therefore, Gila monsters often stay hidden underground. It has been suggested that Gilas can consume all the calories they need for a year in 3 or 4 large meals. Their top speed is only about 1.5 miles per hour, or about 2.4 kilometers per hour. Perhaps no bird better exemplifies southwestern deserts than the noisy cactus wren. At all hours of the day, they utter a raw, scratchy noise that sounds like they are trying to start a car. Cactus wrens are always up to something, whether hopping around on the ground, fanning their tails, scolding their neighbor, or singing from the tops of cacti. They build nests the size and shape of footballs, which they use during the breeding and non-breeding season. Cactus wrens are true desert dwellers. They can survive without needing to drink freestanding water. Here we see a cactus wren nest, and there were chicks in it because we could hear them. It is notable that while most birds only build nests during the breeding season and use them just for rearing their young, male and female cactus wrens build multiple nests and use them as roosting sites even during the non-breeding season. Adults often feed their nestlings grasshoppers, being careful to pluck off the wings before stuffing the insects into the chicks' mouths. The parents need to pluck a lot of grasshopper wings. One nestling needs to eat at least 14 grasshoppers a day to meet its nutritional requirements. Harris's antelope squirrels are rodents that are often mistaken for chipmunks. These antelope squirrels have distinctive markings on their gray fur, with brown highlights on the sides and legs and a white stripe down the side of the torso and encircling the eyes. In the winter, their fur grows longer and becomes softer than in the summer. Harris's antelope squirrels are found in the southwestern United States, specifically in Arizona and the southwest of New Mexico. The range extends outside the U.S. into Mexico into the northwest of the state of Sonora. These animals inhabit different types of desert habitats, which include deserts with cacti and desert shrubs. They can also be found in open plains with gravel and sand. Harris's antelope squirrels are diurnal, being active during the day, including midday hot hours. They do not hibernate and remain active above ground during the year. As omnivores, Harris's antelope squirrels' diet includes fruit and seeds of local cactus plants, as well as beans of the mesquite plant. They also eat insects, small rodents, and carrion. Little is known about the mating system in Harris's antelope squirrels. The breeding season takes place between February and March, although mating can take place between December and June. The gestation period lasts 30 days, and females usually have 1 litter per year with an average of 6 pups. If you've gone looking for raptors on a clear day, your heart has probably leaped at the sight of a large, soaring bird in the distance, perhaps an eagle or an osprey. But if it's soaring with its wings raised in a V and making wobbly circles, it's likely a turkey vulture. They are a consummate scavenger, cleaning up the countryside 1 bite of their sharply hooked bill at a time, and never mussing a feather on their bald heads. Moving now to the Ramsey Canyon and Ash Canyon areas of southern Arizona, just north of the Mexico border, we encounter the white-tailed deer. In North America, the species is widely distributed east of the Rocky Mountains as well as in southwestern Arizona and most of Mexico, except Lower California. The white-tailed deer is highly variable in size, generally following both Allen's rule and Bergmann's rule, that the average size is larger farther away from the equator. White-tailed deer eat large amounts of food, commonly eating legumes and foraging on other plants, including shoots, leaves, cacti in deserts, prairie forbs, and grasses. They also eat fruit and corn. Females enter estrus, colloquially called the rut, in the autumn, normally in late October to early November, triggered mainly by the declining photoperiod. Females give birth to 1 to 3 spotted young, known as fawns, in mid to late spring, generally in May or June. The Chiricahua leopard frog is native to Mexico and the United States in Arizona and New Mexico. Its natural habitats are temperate forests, rivers, intermittent rivers, swamps, freshwater lakes, intermittent freshwater lakes, freshwater marshes, intermittent freshwater marshes, freshwater springs, ponds, and open excavations. It is threatened by habitat loss and chytrid fungus to such an extent that it has been eliminated from 80% of its former habitat. The northern pygmy owl may be tiny, but it's a ferocious hunter with a taste for songbirds. These owls are mostly dark brown and white, with long tails, smoothly rounded heads, and piercing yellow eyes. They hunt during the day by sitting quietly and surprising their prey. As a defensive measure, songbirds often gather to mob these sitting owls until they fly away. Mobbing songbirds can help you find these unobtrusive owls, as can listening for their call, a high-pitched series of toots. A bit of a show-off, the scarlet-bellied painted redstart constantly flashes its black and white wings and fans its tail while foraging. As it hops and pivots along tree branches, startled insects flush out of their hiding places, whereupon the redstart snatches them up in its bill. A tiny bird seemingly overflowing with energy, the ruby-crowned kinglet forages almost frantically through lower branches of shrubs and trees. A common feeder bird with clean black, gray, and white markings, white-breasted nuthatches are active, agile little birds with an appetite for insects and large, meaty seeds. They get their common name from their habit of jamming large nuts and acorns into tree bark, then whacking them with their sharp bill to hatch out the seed from the inside. White-breasted nuthatches may be small, but their voices are loud, and often their insistent nasal yammering will lead you right to them. The acorn woodpecker is a clown-faced western woodpecker with a complicated social structure, living in small colonies. Best known for its habit of hoarding acorns, the birds drill small holes in a dead snag, then harvest acorns in fall and store them in these holes to be eaten during the winter. Such a granary tree may be used for generations and may be riddled with up to 50,000 holes. Nesting is a group activity with several adults, up to 12 or more, taking part in incubating the eggs and feeding the young in a single nest. The tiny feathered jewels known as hummingbirds never fail to impress with a dash of speed and magnificent hovering skills. Arizona is a great place if hummingbirds are what you want to see, and the best locations to see more rare hummingbirds in Arizona are the Ramsey Canyon Preserve, Miller Canyon, Cave Creek Canyon, and the Panton Center. All of these pictures are of male hummingbirds, which are usually much more colorful than the females. Collectively, at least 11 different hummingbird species frequent the Ramsey Canyon area each year. Not only are hummingbirds incredibly attractive with their hums, mid-air hover, and their brilliant iridescent plumage, but these little creatures possess some amazing abilities as well. For instance, they can fly up, down, backwards, and sideways. They have the fastest wing beats, 19 to 90 times a second, depending on the species. And they are known to be among some of the strongest migrants in the bird kingdom. Hummingbirds are voracious eaters as well, spending virtually all of their waking time sipping nectar from flowers. It is notable that there are over 350 known species of hummingbirds, all belonging to the family Trochilidae, and they are all native to the Americas. However, a large majority of hummingbird species live in Central and South America, with only a couple of dozen species migrating to North America to spend the summers there. The process of attracting potential mates starts once the females of a particular species begin to arrive at a locality. The main ritual of the courtship is the energetic and exciting air shows whereby a male bird will go up in the air anywhere from 50 to 100 feet and will then plummet straight down at a breakneck speed. Other displays include flaunting their attractive plumage, singing and chirping, and humming by beating their wings as fast as they can. Female hummingbirds begin building their nests already by the time that they are on the lookout for a mate. At the same time, she establishes her own territory as well. Just like the male, female hummers are also fiercely territorial. They choose their territory where, aside from plentiful sources of nectar, there are also enough small insects to feed the babies. Almost all hummingbird species will lay 2 eggs at a time, sometimes only 1, but very rarely more than 2. The 2 tiny eggs are the size of jelly beans or peas or coffee beans. The hummingbirds, depending on the species, will take anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks to incubate the eggs. The mother hummingbird feeds the babies, mostly insects, but also nectar, by inserting her bill into theirs and thus putting the food into the baby hummers' gullets. The young start to grow feathers from the 8th to the 10th day of their life, and they stay with the mother for about 21 days. Once the juveniles leave their nest for good, they are adequately able to take care of themselves. Javelinas, also known as colored peccaries, are medium-sized animals that look similar to a wild boar. One major adaptation for survival is the fact that javelinas live in large family groups. The average group size is 10 or less, but a few herds have been known to number up to 53 animals. Each group defends a territory which includes their sleeping and feeding areas. They communicate with their own family group and other groups using sounds and smells. Javelina live in desert washes, saguaro and palo verde forests, oak woodlands, and grasslands with mixed shrubs and cacti. The Arizona gray squirrel occupies mountain ranges in central Arizona, western New Mexico, and Sonora, Mexico, along the U.S. border. Notably, the onset of breeding activity in this species is correlated with flower emergence and the inclusion of flower parts in the diet. A bird born to run, the greater Roadrunner can outrace a human, kill a rattlesnake, and thrive in the harsh landscapes of the desert Southwest. Roadrunners reach 2 feet from their sturdy bill to the white tail tip, with a bushy blue-black crest and mottled plumage that blends well with dusty shrubs. As they run, they hold their lean frames nearly parallel to the ground and rudder with their long tails. They have recently extended their range eastward into Missouri and Louisiana. The wild turkey is an upland floor bird native to North America, one in all 2 extant species of turkey and the heaviest member of the varied Galliformes. Among the largest birds in North America, the large-bodied, long-legged, and small-headed look of a turkey is distinctive. They appear dark from a distance, often seen in small groups in open fields near woods,